Thank you. Going to another room now. This thing will probably follow me in a little while. I was doing dishes there for a bit. Anyways.
Wow.
And figuring it out is a version of that.
Forcing. Yes.
And I felt it too, Annette, like you felt my frustration.
Mhm.
And it's just feedback, that as we spoke yesterday, it appears to be out of congruence, out of harmony, or it's the timing. And either way, like the true choice is to change this, and all it is tension. So it's either staying in the tension or getting out of it.
Tweaking the structure.
Mhm.
You do that too.
You can do that too.
Mhm. I do some practice sessions with some folks, and occasionally I'll ask the question, and this one's been asked before, is what would you lose if you had to, let's say, change something or do it differently or omit something? And it's amazing how people just sit there and some of them will say, I don't understand the question. That's one question I've been asking myself a lot lately. What would I lose if I did it this way? What would I lose if I chose this instead?
Yeah, because this is a very foreign way to operate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's unconventional.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Along that lines, it's like today's uniquely genius underneath the powerful creator that we all are. We all are uniquely genius in the ability to create, anticipate, feel, bring into existence is inside all that. In the book, Robert Fritz says, imagine having it, like when you were creating it, it's like imagine having it and being it as we know, to feel it. But then he also says, take it out and imagine life without it.
Ooh.
Yeah, because you get sunk right back to where you are now. That's a big drop.
Or
Yeah.
even out there and take it out. And then what you're doing is seeing like, oh, really, what is it different? What's the difference out there?
Mm-hmm.
And in that, it's like, then we can become clear. What it appears to me is that we can become clearer around why it's more of the mobilization.
Oh, wow.
And so connecting the two, what would you lose? It's like, oh, I could see those two that just widened the space for the structure there. Honor that. Thank you, Annette. The genius you are.
Well, here's what came to me this morning too, and this fits in really, really nicely. Um, gathering power. Like I've been saying over and over again for the last week, that there's something really big that's coming down. And the whole waiting and anticipation is about gathering power. About preparation, about making ready. The anticipation is an energetic. It's an energy. It's an energy discernment. It's a resource discernment.
So when you said the word power,
Yeah.
I had a little bit of agitation in me. And for me, it would be organization instead of power, being organized. Look who that thing comes again. I'm going to show you. So, and I think it's just my interpretation of the word power for me, as opposed to what the interpretation of the word power for you is. Like I said, for me, it would be organization, to be organized, to really see what's around me. And so basically that's observing everything around me and then taking that information in and organizing it as to what's the feedback, what am I getting? But it's time again. There's no force. It's just time.
Well, yeah.
We relax, we rest.
See, I was referring to power as a resource. Kind of like a tool in the toolbox. Or if there's a fight coming, it would be a weapon of some kind. But organization would be your flavor of that resource. Like organization would be empowerment for you.
Interesting. The word empowerment has the word power in it.
Yeah, but then, well, that's why I used that word. But what I'm saying is like organization is the hit you got. Is okay. So put resources together, or gather power for you is organization.
Yeah, because when I heard it spoken and I said that I had,
that's your gift.
Yeah, and when I heard it, like I said, it vibrated differently inside me, and the immediate thing I had was confrontation, fight.
Wow.
Yeah. So that, and it's all part of how we experience the reality of different things and how different words affect us at different times in our life too.
Okay, can I ask this? Did it feel like resistance or empowerment?
It felt like I was being overpowered. I was thumbed down. I was held down. That's what I felt.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then it would be resistance.
Wasn't like
Or
it
is it?
was no, because resistance depending on, okay, so is somebody resisting you, physically resisting you? Because that's the sensation that I had, was that I was being prevented,
Mm,
as opposed to resistance of I don't want to.
mm.
Anyways, that's just the hit I got on that word. And that's why for me, it for me to understand that, the word organize felt better, and meant had a very different meaning for me than using the word just power.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why I'm going to say resisted in this one, to allow for the longest time to understand and to feel how to be myself in my own power. And
Mm.
part of it, and I know this because is that I grew up without having agency because it was always taken away.
Yeah. So that's part of gathering your power. Gathering agency for you
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
very important right now. It's
Yeah.
significant. It's a better word.
Yeah.
Significant that you gather your agency, because the same thing's true for me. The whole thing about agency. So, yeah,
So
it's preparing to do the correct action at the correct time. And that requires agency too. It's like you can't, the timing of it requires that you don't second guess yourself. When correct timing shows up. So you have to be confident of your agency. Is this ringing any bells, Annette?
There you go. Yes and no. Not having agency also did not permit having boundaries either. And so what I have discovered, and I've done this with a therapist, is discovered that it wasn't just a pattern that happened in my childhood, but then as you grow up, you seek relationships where you can fit into that shoe.
Oh, exactly.
And then you wonder why certain things happen all the time. And so until you're actually shown to how to self-discover this, you just keep repeating the pattern over and over again. And then when you do try to set a boundary, people around you don't know, like, holy smokes, what's going on with you? Why are you so selfish? Why are you this? Why are you that? And it's like, I'm not. But it's because they're so used to your pattern fitting into their pattern, that they could do certain things because they knew you would comply. It was foreign to them.
Right. So all of a sudden, when you don't comply in your usual
Typical
in your
way,
usual
pattern.
typical way, in your typical pattern, yeah,
Mhm.
it's like all of a sudden you're a demon.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. You're a demon there, and then you go to therapy and you tell them what happened. They say, "Yay, it's a celebration." So it's it's conflicting, but you're growing.
Yeah, now that you mention this, I'm kind of surprised my therapist didn't point this one out to me.
Maybe they're not there yet. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm teaching him more than he's teaching me, but that's besides the point.
So I'm going to point this at Annette. And in the theme for today, out of the core four, is the powerful creator, being a powerful creator of our life. And so that has the word power in it. And when I see you, Annette, as a powerful creator, is that power have the same or similar feeling to it?
Sort of, but not really, because I'm moving into uncharted area where I'm creating things and I'm blown away by the stuff that I'm creating and I'm loving it. In the last month, I've been smiling more than I have in a very long, long time. But there is that fear of what's next. I know I can create, but it's still that fear. I have to learn. My next step is, I believe, is learning to trust, opening up that trust a little bit more. But it's really hard. Because as you know, my story, the trust was completely severed. So for me, it's just baby steps. Like I said to you before, is like when we first started, I just kind of feel like I've been cocooning away a little bit and sticking my head out, seeing the sunshine, and then coming back into my little den and just focusing and observing and just about me and I guess organized. But
No, good. I'm going to say, is that powerful?
I guess that is.
Thank you. That's all I
Yeah.
needed you to see.
Yeah.
Is it trusting yourself?
Trusting others.
Mm.
And a little bit, I know I can do things. Sometimes it's how, and maybe just not focus too much on the how too much, because that's energy that can be redirected into creating
I
a
got
different way.
this. I got this. You can be focused into, I got this. Fascinating. So often we will grant other people the authority that they are powerful, but never allow ourselves to be. And of course, you couldn't get it. You wouldn't know how to do it if you weren't powerful.
That's why I was asking the question about if it's your own trusting yourself.
Yeah. Well, we all, I mean, you think of it, we all fall into the category of that. We've all done that because we were just a little child that had this structure around us that told us, basically, majority of us told us that we weren't good enough. We couldn't have it. It just continually proved that we didn't have power.
Well, and sometimes the results of our choices showed up that way too.
Mhm.
Like that the choice was ineffective or not.
Yeah.
Let's say part of it didn't work
Yeah, good. Yeah, yeah.
for us.
As our creations got more complex.
Well, and
Okay.
as our choices interacted with the other people
Yes.
around us.
Yeah. You didn't get that candy bar at the grocery store that you wanted.
Yeah, because that's
Very
the other
simple
that's the other
example.
factor. You know, you realize that you can, you know, the only choice you had was your own. And that didn't mean that the other people in your environment had to conform to your choice, because they had choice as well.
Well, the one thing I can say is I am sure glad I am moving away from that pattern and that structure.
And that's power.
Yeah, I guess it would be power with, for me right now, power with a little p. Because when I
Perfect.
envision power with the big P, it's frightening.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's always been on you. It's always been sitting on you.
Yes.
Realizing you're coming to realize how powerful you are. And it's freaking scary. A couple days ago in this session, we were talking about being magicians. It's like, holy crap.
No, and I think this version of power is more from the masculine, the aggressive, the strength side of it. The oppressive side of it.
Not necessarily.
No, that's the resistance in this one.
Ah, yeah, there we go.
I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's what happens is you can't see the other side of it if you only are stuck in that.
Yeah, yeah.
Which brings us back to our question, what would you lose?
Yeah.
The, the true power is in the feminine side of it. So that's what's lost.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The, the power of magic is very feminine.
And Annette, you ooze that. There is so much of that organized in you. But sorry, and you hold it with a little tiny p.
Sorry, can you repeat that last sentence? You hold it with what?
You hold it with a little tiny p.
Okay.
Like it's not capital P power, it's small p power.
Yeah, for you, which is great.
Very, very subtle. Like it's not an explosion. It's I have complete control of this underneath the surface. I have agency throughout the whole process. How does that sit?
It sits extremely well. All we do is just pull the genius out, the power out, and people just can't quite see yet in themselves, even though we've seen it the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was talking before and I was on mute. I didn't realize that, guys. But it feels really good. It feels like home.
Yeah.
But it also feels like a new home.
Oh, good. Good.
There's the therapist again. There's the therapist again. It's right. It's like, oh, you're supposed to feel good about that, but I really don't. Oh, it's so much easier to see in others than it is in ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
I wonder why that is.
Because we observe ourselves from the inside out, where others were observing from the outside.
Yes. And their view of us has changed quite radically. They can't process it. They can't process the new view of us.
Oh, but some can.
Well, some can.
Yeah.
Most of them reject it though.
Oh, because they're stuck in a pattern.
Right.
A pattern where you're the one puzzle piece that fits perfectly in their plan.
Right. And they're rejecting their view of us. And so they act that out as in lash out at us or cut us off or something similar.
And
it's not personal, actually.
And that's the relationship that they choose to have with you, not what you choose to have with them. It's what they
Correct.
choose to have with you.
Correct.
And with the folks that are very open and accepting of our changes, they like it.
Yes.
Because for various reasons, they might get energy off of that. It makes them feel good. It brings them into their own power. It could be a number of things.
Yeah.
The best part is when they come to you and say, I want to co-create with you. And they actually use that word.
Oh, wow.
That is the best part. You don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'd love to hear that from some of my loved ones.
No expectations.
Wow.
Because that's them coming into their power to step forward and ask.
That was a capital P.
That was a capital P. Yes.
Wow. Oh, you just gave me the hugest gift just now. And that, oh my goodness gracious.
Well, there's a reason why, I guess, why I signed on this morning.
Oh, well, there's more. Yeah, there's been a dozen already, but I just got one. People approaching you to ask if they can co-create with you. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. That's my invitation.
Mhm. There was never any expectation on my part. There was never any thought of it actually on my part. It was just including them in my life. Absolutely. I did have that. I just didn't create it in the way that they are asking to be part of it. And that was their creation.
Yeah, so much better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, what came to me is to put out an invitation to anyone who, like an invitation to co-create with me. Like put out an invitation to people to co-create with me.
So energetically,
Yes.
you put that out there.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yep. Those are the people that I want to attract to me. Is people that want to co-create with me. And it can be anything. I mean, I don't care. I don't care what we create. I mean, the capability is boundless.
Mhm. Yeah, it could be meet up for a coffee and a walk every odd day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
And it could also be something global in scope.
could be too.
And many combinations of all of the above. Right?
I believe if you keep it simple, there's far more opportunity for it to go up.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing for me too, and that's realizing that I already have a piece of what the people are going to be drawn to me. I already have a piece of what they want to create.
That's
Which
good.
is why they're going to be drawn to me. Because what I'm coming to understand after creating a heck of a lot of stuff solo my whole life, I'm coming to understand that from here on out, it's about teaming up with people and combining desire and creating brand new stuff from combined desire. Like I can't operate solo anymore. It's kind of a waste of my gifts to do that.
So is working with somebody else, are you ready to, how am I going to put this? Are you ready to allow them 50%
Oh, of course.
or 60% of
Yep.
of creativity at any time, or even
Yep.
80% at any time? And are you then prepared to do the same?
Yeah, totally.
And what would you lose if you didn't?
Well, the interesting thing is it's not about controlling the creation. It's about it's about maintaining a portion of it. So there's a priest model in the Old Testament. It's a story of Abraham, and one of his relatives gets attacked and by somebody or other, and and basically what happens is all their possessions were stolen, and the priest Melchizedek comes to Abraham and says and has a plan to go and recover what was stolen. So Abraham and the people that had and his relatives that had the stuff stolen from them, they go after it, and they get it back. They recover what was stolen. And they come back to Melchizedek, the priest, and Melchizedek brings out bread and wine, and they kind of have a party, and they give Melchizedek a tithe of what they recovered, which is a tenth. A tenth of what was recovered goes to the priest. And that priest is me. So I see everything I participate in as participation level of 10%, and continued participation in whatever increase shows up from there. So it's kind of an input as to the priest knows how to keep the increase flowing. So he knows how to keep the growth happening. He knows how to keep the returns coming. And for that, for continued participation in that, he receives a tithe ongoing. It's about co-creating and walking in abundance. You know, and giving a guide the piece of the action.
And attention and focusing on the tension, keeping it there so that the tension continues to flow, so that you're there when it becomes stuck.
Right. You know that if you've been in business for yourself, you know that there's ebbs and flows in all parts of your business, especially the revenue. One of the most difficult things in business is to keep that flow consistent, to keep it sustainable. I mean, because I worked contract all my life, there was times when I was extremely wealthy. Like there was months when I had so much money I didn't know what to do with it, and there was other months where I hardly had anything coming in, and so I had to try to manage that whole up and down, that whole cyclical thing. But you know, so I kind of know how to do that practically. But this is about today's stuff is about energy. It's not about money, it's about energy. It's about keeping the energy flowing. And it's all very natural giftings. Like those gifts and that genius are very natural to me, is what I'm saying. And that's part of gathering power. Like the gathering of power is coming to a crescendo.
So I have a question for you, Craig.
Okay.
So you spoke about how you don't want to be working solo anymore or creating solo anymore, that you'd like to put it out there that you want to co-create with others.
Yep.
Oh, is there something that is stopping you from or preventing you from starting solo and then put out to co-create with what you've got started?
Well, yeah, the thing is I've already started solo.
Okay.
See, I've been downloading all these like brilliant ideas and concepts of things that of structures that the world needs. Like these are how could I describe them? They're like energy systems to operate within. That's my prime genius, actually. And there's thousands of those that are latent within my energetic memory, within my muscle memory. I've been gathering them throughout my life.
So right now everything's in your head, or do you have it documented?
Nope. It's all in, like I say, it's all in energetic memory. It's all in muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
It's all kind of like it's kind of like I have this huge tract of land in the field that's mine to work with. and I'm just on the lookout for partners that want to partners that match the desire for each one of those. And I know they're there. I know all these partners are there. They're ready to go. Like they just haven't realized that they're my partner yet. They don't realize that I'm the one that has the pieces and the know-how to bring that into to bring those dreams into reality. I've already seen their dream. but very few people on the planet are used to operating this way. And the other thing is, in in a 3D environment, you can't do 100 of these at once. It's got to be kind of like one at a time, sort of.
So rather than waiting for them to come to you, how could you go to them?
Well, that's what I was just saying. It's like I put out the invitation. That's my that's my
But
that's
are
my
they
that's
are
my
they-
inspired action.
yeah, are they putting out an invitation and you're not seeing it?
Well, it could be that way too. Yeah. But that's part of the preparation and the empowerment as well, right?
Mhm.
Because it's part of what's been happening, like what I've just communicated with you guys just now, is about learning to, like, in order for me to say what I just said, I have to believe in my capacity to be that. Like, believe in my capacity as a creator, but also as a priest, and as an orchestrator of the energy in those structures. I have to believe that that is me, and that I am completely capable and have the agency to be able to actually do that and follow through. And so what's happening right now when I'm talking about power, gathering power, there's a huge belief piece that's in that gathering of power.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. So this is, for me, this has gone beyond conception. And so I'm gonna bring this back in. I think I said this a number of weeks ago, but I'm gonna say it again. There's one quote from Napoleon Hill that really hit home to me a few weeks ago, and he said, whatever the human mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Which is interesting, because it's like C before B before A, which kind of dovetails with what Stephen Covey said about begin with the end in mind. So you conceive it first. And my prime superpower is in conceiving of things. It's like that whole stage before conception. There's a wild dreaming that's in that. And that's my thing. That's why when I'm talking about having a piece of the field, that's where I operate from. I operate from that preconception, before conception space. And what's happening now is, now that I realize that that's my power center, in order to operate in it, in order to actually achieve that, there's a belief stage that goes along with it. I'm smack in the middle of this belief stage right now. where I'm learning how to believe. Or it's like the energies are making a believer out of me. I'm experiencing what it's like to believe.
Like you're testing out new waters, Craig.
Yeah, yeah. So belief is growing in me. Let's put it that way.
So on that, I believe that you all are going to have a fantastic day. I'm going to skedaddle. I've got quite a few things to do today. Some things that I haven't done in a whole year. I'm going to be doing today. Start umpire my
Awesome.
first double header this afternoon. So I got to start pulling my equipment together and get ready for that. So have a
Hey, Miss
fantastic
Annette,
day. Yes.
I'm loving you big time today. You're such a blessing today. Oh my goodness.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I brought a smile to your face, then I
Oh,
did
and a
my
lot
job.
of laughs.
There you go.
Certainly did. Inspiration City.
There you go. There's my energy.
So thank you.
Yeah. And Jesse, you have a great day too.
Thanks, Annette. Thanks for stopping by.
All right.
Always
Bye.
a pleasure. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, Spirit of Lilith, go with you. Wow. That was interesting where that went.
It was perfect.
Yeah. You're telling me.
Hmm.
You know, the timing is so damn impeccable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm learning. I'm learning to believe.
Out of the blue, so unexpected. And yet full of wonder.
You know, I'm coming to realize just how much I love operating in the unexpected. You know, having no expectation is so powerful because it leaves all the doors open.
Right. Less, or otherwise it's confining and we're looking for it to appear a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a powerful creator doing that, no wonder we end up being frustrated so often.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, that whole insight into downloading stuff my whole life, like downloading these preconceived things.
Mhm.
It's like I just have access to all that, and I don't want to even play with any of those consciously until the partners show up, because it's like you know, I don't, like, another way of saying that is I don't want to tag any of those with an expectation.
Mm-hmm.
of any kind,
Mhm.
because that would take the magic out of it.
Mhm. And I think that's where could, really that word could, like when we frame things inside of that could, it
Yeah.
leaves it wide open. And so I was thinking about the three silly men yesterday.
Yeah.
And like I like that, and it was like as I whittled through that, it's like as I sat with it, what could it be? It was like the three feminine men.
Yeah.
Femen.
Yeah.
To me, that is where intuition lies. That is where genius lies.
Yeah.
And that's where yes lies.
Yeah.
And that's where our power, with a capital P, lies. And yet we put the illusion that our capital power is in our strength. It is in our aggressiveness, is in our
Right.
fight,
Yeah.
is in our achievements. It's in our achievements.
Or it's in the force.
It's in the
of it.
force. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the control of it. And that is not that's a stereotype of man.
Yeah. Because the truth is that it's not the energy that's masculine or feminine. It's the structure of the flow that's masculine or feminine.
Mm-hmm. The
So
filter.
the filter. Yeah, the filter is a good term for it. Yeah, too. So when I you probably know this already, and I'll just say it for the recording, but I've been studying human design. Like I kind of stumbled across it just after I had that car accident about 3.5 years ago. And and what I understand human design to be is you put in your date and time of birth and where you were born and all that kind of stuff, and it spits out a chart called a body graph. And what this body graph is it's how it's kind of like the structure that's designed into you with respect to energy. And what was really empowering to me is to find out that even though I'm walking around in a male body, my energy structure is primarily feminine, which means that it's receptive, like it's receiving more than it's about receiving more than it is about giving. But there is stuff in that energy blueprint that is about, that's about male, about masculine, a masculine energy too. But it requires feminine energy first. Like there, and that feminine energy, it's about receiving. Okay, so the male energy is about getting a spark of inspiration. It's kind of like that. But then it goes to the feminine energy, and that's about conceiving. It's about gestating. It's about developing concepts. It's about allowing them to grow inside my being. It's about that kind of stuff. And eventually that stuff turns up as more masculine energy, as in I can articulate it, or I can actually bring it into physical form, or those kinds of things. But it's a combination of both. But it's predominantly feminine energy in my blueprint. And as I sync myself up with that, like, that's what I was meaning today by gathering power. That whole syncing up with my own energy blueprint is a gathering of power. And it's a combination of both masculine and feminine energies in flow with fewer blocks, fewer resistances, fewer impedances, all these kind of things. And yeah, I'm kind of blown away by how these are working, because I wouldn't have conceived of it this way. But it's like that whole insight around how everything works for me personally is just like, holy shit. You know, and that's how it's because of that I can see myself as a magician. You know, and that itself is miraculous to me. I don't know if you followed any of that.
Mhm.
The interesting thing about this adventure too is I keep finding scriptures in the Bible that back up the things that I'm talking about.
Mhm. So I'll repeat back what I heard there.
Okay.
And from my background, is that I would say my nature is more on the feminine, meaning compassion, nurturing, inviting. It's like a peace is like where like peaceful is what I find with the feminine. Yet my operation of the world as a child, as an adult, was more like I felt as if I had to be a man, like the stereotypical masculine, always doing. So what it was for me is like the feminine is more of the emotional components, more feelings, more emotions, and the masculine is the doing. So like to do, to achieve, to produce, to project, to be certain ways in the world required Like that was my view of it. And so rather than who I really was needed, or who my inner being was masked with my outer doing, I had to perceive to be this way. It's in a way, it's like you have to look a certain way. And so that's me. And for what I could say, like for at a point, I got to realize that that was out of balance with my true self, with my inner being. And so it's opening that door to allow more of that nurturing, that allowing, that receiving, the patience, the peace, and power out of that. So more of the being rather than the doing. So being first, doing second. Very similar to what you said. Let's conceive it, bring it into existence, believe it by nurturing it, and then doing it by just taking the obvious action.
Mm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's, and so it's like, so there's peace, and then there's aggression, like aggressiveness. Oh, it's like, yeah, that's what I felt like I needed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that
So how do
turns
you
into
feel about
wisdom.
aggression now?
Well, and part of it is like, oh, I'm very familiar with it. So that, I mean, it has an operating mode. I'm familiar with it, which means I can always use it when I need to.
Yeah. But you realize
So
that there's a place for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like and so for me, it was like what I had to pull apart was like the aggression and passion.
Yeah. The aggression from the passion.
It's like, oh, like untangle them. And frustration is inside of that. It's like, well, okay, so this is my passion. People can't hear that. And that would be frustrating and angry for me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Like the aggression and the passion are entangled.
they're, like you said, you spoke earlier, right? It's the filters that we put on the energy.
Yep.
Then that we label them, that we act it out. And it is a blending. It is a blending of both of them. Not just one mode, not just one default.
Mhm.
And like my view of the world was like I couldn't express feelings unless it was of anger and frustration, because that is the ones that I thought worked.
Mm.
And all the other ones weren't worth the time. They were weak, right? They were weak. When in all reality, it's becoming to realize on all the powers in those.
So it's about releasing these emotional energies from the patterns. Yeah, from the patterns that have formed around them. Yeah. Oh wow.
And it just did, like I was drilled in, my structure was drilled into me, is that you had to work hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And don't cry. I mean, it's not like my parents never taught me that one, but that was that's what the bullies at school, because I was sometimes a bully and sometimes I was bullied.
Mhm.
It goes back and forth. Same with the biggest bullies, right? And but it wasn't like my parents didn't say I couldn't express emotions. It was the kids around me.
Yeah.
It was my peers. You can't cry. Fine, I can't cry. You're right.
Yeah. And they're giving you secondhand stuff that they got from their parents.
Yeah, or their older kid, their brother or whatever, their sister or whatever. And yet we hold on to it, we attach to it, and we go with it.
Oh, yeah, that's socialization.
Mhm. Never realizing that was one choice at one time that we kept playing again and again. So that's the filters that we've spoken about here. And syncing those up, connecting them in harmony opens up so much more information. That it just creates a better life.
Yeah, it opens up so much more being.
Mhm. Which then opens up the doing in so many different ways. And the last one is the achieving, yeah, that looks completely different.
Yeah.
And that's where you spoke about expectations at the top of the hour. It's like, and that achieving is all about expectation.
Yeah, and that it'd be a certain way.
Mhm. Which then gets tied up in that belief, which all came from a version of us conceiving it.
You know, there's so much more potential in unexpected than there is in any kind of expectation.
Yes. And it ends up always being better than
Yeah.
you could then
Could have, yeah.
you know, it's like when there's no expectations, it's like, oh, and you just approach it with wonder and amazement. It's like, oh, because you can see that in anything. That's our power, that's our magician. That we can see the positive or we can choose to see the negative of any situation. What we're unaware of is that it's the filters that's creating it for us right now, for most of us.
Well, it's also the filters that make it positive or negative.
That's right. And drive what we see, what we believe, and what we have.
You know,
For most of us,
how many goals that people have, how many goals that we have are actually limiting beliefs?
every one of them.
Every one of them. Yeah.
Well, a better question is, how often are people hitting their goals? And if they do, is their life better?
Depends
Most
how true
part,
the
no.
choice was.
That's right. Because it was the goal to fix something, right? Then it will always be broken. If it's a goal was to compensate for something, I mean, it's what I find is the fine line between is the goal something out there, or is it something in here?
Yeah.
Meaning material, is it a material goal, or is it an emotional experience, emotional feeling? Because the emotional feeling is the only one that will work.
Yeah. Or you could say, is it a material goal or a spiritual goal? Or a material goal or an experiential goal?
Yep. Because that's why we have the emotions. That's why they are like they're such a huge driver in us, is because we're here to experience life, which means feel life, which means feel the situations.
Yeah, we're here to experience the energy
Yep.
of those emotions.
And if nature's miserable, horrible, ugly, if nature's that, then that would be our nature.
Dolores Cannon says we're actually here to learn how to manipulate energy. And I don't like that word manipulate, but I'm starting to understand that concept.
Yeah, that word and that concept can be misused,
Yes.
mistreated, misguided, and that, I say, has probably been our history.
Yeah.
Meaning,
we've known a lot of manipulators in our time.
yeah, and we don't like to be manipulated.
Yeah.
That's a filter. That's a filter of our experience that says, no, I'm not going to go there. I remember that one.
Well, that's back to that statement that came up a couple days ago. A magician transforms energy. Transform. That means at will. So it means the magician can choose the form of that energy, the energy that's there. The magician chooses the form.
Yeah. For choice, you have to believe, which means you have to be aware that there is a choice.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a
even
default.
Even before that, you have to be aware that there's energy.
Yeah. That there's a contrast.
And that it's right here.
In the moment of now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's so much becoming aware of those filters that we put on that energy.
Yeah. Because it's there. The energy is there in one form or another.
Yeah. And it's always providing information. It's just how are we responding to it? We really examining the truth that's there? Or are we just doing what we've always done?
You notice that the word form is in information.
Mm-hmm. That's why I like information. Because it's just a form, and then in that form, the next layer is we make sense of that form.
Yeah.
And the sense, like senses, our five senses, make sense of that form. And those senses are just programs informed by the past.
Yeah, actually, those senses are structures.
Yeah. Form is a structure.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, your physical senses are physical structures in your physiology.
Yep. Like form.
Yeah.
And like a structure, it's like the importance of form and structure is the difference we create between them.
Right.
The difference between 2 points, which is the tension, which is where I say the energy lies. Because if there's no contrast, there's no meaning to it. Because that means it's just is. It's like, oh, there is a tree. That's all. Whatever we make up about that tree adds a second point of the structure that creates the tension.
Oh, wow.
There is a flower, and I could say it's a beautiful flower. Oh, see, now that's adding structure.
Wow, this is opening up a whole lot of stuff. Oh, oh my.
That is why the charge of words matter.
Yeah. Well, words are just a form of energy.
Mhm.
So here's what just came to me is taking those words and changing their form, like pulling the energy out of the words and using that energy for something different, than communicating. It gives me a whole different perspective on writing and on speaking right now. Oh wow. Oh wow.
And listening.
Yeah, that's part of it too. Oh.
What I find with it is that as we listen to it, what it's telling us is a person's being. It reveals, we can listen to someone's being between the charge of their words, within the charge of the words.
Oh wow.
And what that tells us, right? And so in your conceive, believe, and achieve, if we can find what's keeping them from their achievement, which is inside the belief, which is a negative or limiting belief, you can free them up for it. And that's flow.
Yeah. Flow and freedom are the same thing.
Yep.
Wow. Free flow. Free flow. Oh boy. Here's another one. Here's another one that I'm going to throw in here that just popped in.
No,
I
you
understand.
can't.
Yeah.
See how that stops? Like boom. And now you may have lost it, and I apologize.
No, I didn't lose it. It's now I understand why on the day of Pentecost, why the disciples spoke in other tongues. They were transforming language. They had the ability to transform language showed up. And it was spontaneous. It was there. They just used it. They just exercised it. Yeah, all this stuff is spontaneous. It's all of spirit. It's all of higher dimensional realms. It's all of transmuting and transforming forms. Oh wow. You know, you think of some of the great orators of the world. I mean, that's a huge reason why Adolf Hitler got powerful. Is because he was working with the power of language, working with the form. He was magicianing the language.
Mm-hmm. Using the words to ignite the emotions.
Yeah.
We call it, in other words, propaganda.
Yeah.
But only after the fact can you label it.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. Well, so was Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes, for sure.
You know, so was Kennedy.
And it's like we spoke about certain people that have that aura about them, right? That and it's like,
it's
yes,
a gift.
Yeah,
it's a gift.
It's like Chris does too.
Yeah. Oh wow. Nelson Mandela. Oh, Winston Churchill. Oh my goodness. Wow.
You know, all of the geniuses that became famous and those that didn't.
Gathering power.
And I'll say that I could frame it just a little different. It's like gathering genius.
Yeah.
Because everyone is a genius. Everyone has their genius. We just are not expressing it. But when we do, that is the world that I want to live in.
Yeah.
Because that is expressing, that is the power, that is living in our power.
Yeah. That seems to me to be a cosmic purpose. The purpose of a soul is to gather power and then to live in it. Power is the ability to transform energy. Oh, wow.
Transform versus manipulate.
Yeah. Yeah. To change the form of the energy. So what form do you want that energy to take in this moment? That's how Jesus walked on water. Didn't do it every day.
Well, just when he needed to.
Yeah. Yeah. And you notice how he brought Peter into that experience with him?
Mhm. Had to, otherwise we would give the power to one person.
Yeah.
Which is what we do anyway, is we give, oh, they're powerful, they're genius, they're better than we are. Of course they could do that. I couldn't. It's just little old me.
But Peter got an invitation to step out of the boat.
Mhm.
And he had the courage to do it.
And that's the big one, right? That's the transforming
Wow.
of the energy. That's transforming the energy,
Yeah.
gathering, breaking through, and then scattering.
Yeah.
And if everyone did it, it wouldn't be a big thing.
No. But that story also infers that every person on the planet has the capability
That's what it does. Yep.
of doing that.
Yep. The potential is there.
Yeah.
No different than, well, the world's flat.
Yeah.
You sail that boat out over that ocean, you're just going to fall off the edge of the cliff, off the edge of the earth. And you'll never come back.
Yeah.
Until you do. Years later.
Yeah. Yeah. For all Queen Isabella knew, they were lost. Lost at
For
sea.
years.
Yeah. First one.
Human exploration.
Yeah.
Exploring, finding, revealing our power, our genius, our greatness, and our gifts. Are always revealing themselves through our whole life. And yet we want it to be here right now as a complete, whole, fulfilled story.
All of a sudden, I'm starting to feel like Christopher Columbus.
Well, we probably tapped into his energy, huh?
Yeah, probably did. Yeah.
The
Definitely an adventurer, that's for sure. It's 5-year mission to go boldly go where no man has gone before. That's got me written all over it.
a magician, a conceiver, a visionary, right? We give them those words.
Yeah. Yeah. Different awareness bubble. Hmm. Yeah, I wonder how many years after Columbus got back, how many years after he got back did the next person go?
Probably not too long. I mean, that's at the time, that was like, I mean, and
Yeah.
that was the time, you know. It wasn't as if they were the first ones to discover it, you know.
Right.
Just
yeah.
history tells us that. Our history tells us that.
Yeah. Well, it's like how many people ran a 4-minute mile after Bannister did it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
And it basically, had basically challenged a belief.
Yep.
A prevailing belief.
that existed in that unique culture that became the history of what we study, and history is usually only through one eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
The prevailing, the winning perspective.
Well, that's how we approach the Bible too.
Yeah.
As if we're looking at it through one eye. And everybody agrees that that's the correct eye to be looking at it through.
Yeah. Did that really happen, or was that a metaphor?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to choose it to be. I'm going to choose it how it works for me.
Well, yeah, but you weren't encouraged to do that growing up in church. I know that. You
Well,
were encouraged to go along with what everybody else believed. Yeah, exactly.
That's my and you could choose which one you wanted it to work for what your intention was.
Right. Yeah, you could make it say whatever you wanted it to say.
Mm-hmm. However, you needed to be right.
Which is another form of propaganda, or just manipulating the form, right?
Mm-hmm.
For your own ends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, and man, history's full of that.
Yeah. That's why the compassion motivation is so central.
And why it's so easy to beat out.
So central and so important. Yeah. Because it's we don't see that modeled in our environment very much.
Especially as a man.
Yeah, which is our calling, Jesse.
Feminine man.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're uniting on our similarities that way.
Mm-hmm.
and leveraging our similarities.
It's the only way, or we can choose to separate our differences.
But you know, when you're
Those are-
focused on the similarities, the differences don't matter.
That's right. They disappear.
They kind of, they
It's
kind
the
of,
same thing when you look at the differences, the similarities disappear. And one drives love in between the two, and one drives hate in between the two. And hate is always more powerful. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, controlling wise, in a masculine way, hate is the preferred way. It's power in the capital P word.
yeah,
But in all reality, it's just the little p. Because so much more is possible if we were to use the feminine side of love. We just haven't given it a shot.
yeah. Well, that's
Yeah,
like
greed.
gathering power.
Yeah,
That's why the
greed.
word gathering is so important, because gathering is a feminine energy.
Mhm. Yep. And greed is a masculine.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. In is feminine. Out is masculine. Receive is feminine. Give is masculine. Oh, wow. There's an insight right there. Oh my goodness. Give away your power. Oh, wow. Free flow is receiving and giving. And receiving and giving and receiving and giving. It's living with a full cup.
Mhm. That runneth over.
That runs over. Yeah. Wow.
That's the giving.
Yeah. Instead of trying to give when it's empty.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and being creativity is both. Being creativity is being in a sustainable, sustaining free flow. In and out, just like what your lungs do.
Yep. You
In
need
and
both.
out. In and out, you need both.
You can only focus on one at a time. Because you can't breathe in and breathe out at the same time. Well, you
Right.
can. It's called holding your breath, but you can't sustain it.
But you're not breathing out when you're holding your breath.
Nor are you breathing in.
Right. So
That's
it's
why I love
so
the
it's a
three.
cycle.
Yep.
It's a cycle. It's
Yep.
yeah. Cycling. Recycling.
Because there's always that moment where you switch from one to the other, and right in that middle is the neutral.
Yeah, that's the liminal space.
Liminal. I love that. Liminal space, you bet.
Yeah. It's the void at either end of your breath.
Mhm. Or the void in the middle.
Yeah, the tilt of the earth is on the same cycle. That's why the solstices are so so subtly powerful. Carry a really, really heavy energy because there's a moment where the tilt actually stops.
Hmm.
It actually stops,
Yep.
changes direction.
Changes directions. Yeah. Imagine what that takes, man.
Yeah. Well, it's magic.
Yeah. It's power.
Wow. Yeah.
And they've even modeled that the solstice is responsible for whether there's like with the ice ages and not. All based on the tilt and where we're at in combination with the other planets. There was a new study I just read.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much, 96% of what we don't know.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I've been noticing that my body picks up all that stuff. My body senses all that. It's and it's just awareness is something really, really amazing. Like I really felt all the moon energy the last week, because there was a new moon that happened. I think it was Thursday or Friday, and that happened in conjunction with my natal moon. In fact, my natal moon and Mars are conjunct with each other. They're right side by side on my chart, and Mars is initiating masculine energy. So it's like that kind of stuff. But when I was born, it was in retrograde, which is very interesting. So that retrograde energy is in my natal chart too. But anyway, so I'm talking about these. I'm talking about mainly these moon things, and it's a new moon. So the sun is conjunct that at the same time. So you got for me, I had my all what was going on in the sky was matching my natal chart in a huge way. And holy crap, did I feel that. Like it was, and it wasn't a heavy energy. It was like just really, really intense. And I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason why in the last few days, like stuff has come out of my mouth, like it's like that I can't believe I'm saying. So it's like, yeah, it's really. So I've been using that intense energy. Sun is primarily masculine energy too. Moon is feminine energy. And so like the combination of all those and the intensity of it is creating articulation for me.
Yeah.
Well, and for everybody that hears it.
Well, and it probably affects everyone uniquely the same. Yeah. And it's just whether people are aware and then believe that it's impacting them.
Yeah.
But if you're not aware that it is a possibility, you're not going to look at it.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's why I was saying, like, those energies are powerful as they are, but in conjunction with my natal chart, it's very significant to me on a much broader scale. And nobody else has a chart like mine, so that's
Interesting. It was like, just, it hit me as like, oh, that's why we moved the importance of birthday.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's huge imprinting that happens. And that's actually been proven scientifically. There's a stream of neutrinos that constantly goes through our solar system. It's constant. And when you're born and kind of get out into the air is your first physical exposure to those neutrinos. That's why your birth date and time is so important. It's because there's an imprinting. There's a neutrino imprinting.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be something in that, because we're spending a lot of money to study neutrinos.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
By going way deep into the earth, away from all these other things that we've created to measure them.
Yes. Yes.
That means a giant lab way underground.
Yeah. Yeah.
With instruments that didn't exist.
Yeah.
On an idea that we don't even think was true until we measured them.
Right. Right. Well, that's why quantum science is so fascinating to me.
Yep.
Is because we've, just by doing what we do every day, we have learned so much about quantum science just by playing in it.
Yeah. Allowing it.
Yeah. You play in a sandbox every day, and pretty soon you're going to know sand pretty well.
And do all sorts of things with it that didn't have form before.
Yeah. 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 And in a lot of ways that aren't even in your awareness as well.
I mean, like, we all knew we were going to dig a hole to China in our sandbox.
I can't count the number of those I dug.
Yeah.
Even after I got in trouble, I still kept digging them.
Conceive, believe, and achieve.
Yep. 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 Oh, there was another one that came in that I want to get on this recording. It's we're talking about feminine energy being open and receptive, that kind of thing. And in Malachi, there's a verse that talks about it's God talking, and he says, try me and see if I won't open the windows of heaven for you. so that you receive more than you can handle. Try me. In fact, I got a Bible around here. You can look it up. I think it's chapter 3, verse 12, but I'm not positive. Let me have a quick look here. There we go. Yeah, there it is. Oh, isn't this interesting? Because we were talking about this before. It's Malachi chapter 3, verse 10. It says, bring the whole tithe into the storehouse. There's the word tithe that came up again. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse so that there may be food in my house. And test me now in this. It's like I dare you, God says. If I will not open for you the windows of heaven and pour out for you a blessing until it overflows, or literal translation of that, pour out a blessing that there is not room enough to contain. That is abundant structure right there.
That's what I was gonna say. That is abundance.
Yeah, that's abundant structure.
And gather it together. And inviting to try me, like try me. So that you may believe.
Oh, wow.
So how's that different than greed?
It's funny. It's funny you should ask. In verse 13, it says, your words have been arrogant against me, says the Lord. That profit and greed motive is the energy of that. Your words are arrogant. Same energy. Things are upside down in our world at the moment, my friend.
Mhm. Like I say, it's the what my practice I went through was, it's the same version of it's this, but then look at the other side.
Yeah,
It is this way, and then look at the other side. Another way to do it is here it is, and then turn it upside down, inside out.
yeah, yeah.
One that comes to me is like, imagine solving that problem underwater. Engineer
Yes.
that problem underwater.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
It's
things
just-
look different from down here.
That's right. It's just that's all a creator, a powerful creator does, is looks at it a different way. Doesn't mean it has to be true, doesn't mean it has to be the way, it's just a way it could be, and poof, it opens up space. Poof, which
Well,
is
that's,
flow.
yeah, that's transforming perspective.
Mhm.
Same thing. That's magic too.
Transforming space, transforming energy, transforming darkness.
Transforming water into something you can walk on.
Mhm. Miracles.
At that time, that was true for both Jesus and Peter.
Yep.
At that moment,
Mhm.
true for both.
Until what happened? Until Peter realized what he was doing.
Oh yeah,
Started to maybe doubt it. I don't know. But you say that is when I start to put my attention on it, it takes away the form.
well, it takes a different form.
Mhm.
It takes the form that your attention has,
Mhm.
or what your brain is telling you.
Mhm.
What I'm doing is not possible.
Yep. Even though I was just doing it.
Yeah. So the belief disintegrates.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's usually what happens when we just jump right into it and say yes and just do it. And then we look back and go, oh, I can't believe I'm doing that. Pull back.
Well, here's another part of it that just came to me too, is that the thought couldn't maintain it. The thought couldn't sustain it. Couldn't sustain that truth.
Nope.
The thought killed the truth.
Hmm.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh, wow. Suspended thought. When Peter stepped out of the boat, when he was exercising courage, he took no thought about what he was doing. He just followed the invitation. Power of invitation.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Power in the invitation. Yeah. So I got a really interesting nudge today. To take some creative time and reform some scripture, which is really interesting because a couple weeks from now I signed up for a speaking, a master class about speaking, and it's run by a young woman who's extremely energetic, but it's all done from a very fundamentalist Christian background. And I've been scratching my head for the last few days and wondering what that's all about. And it's starting to come to light today. So it's kind of funny because I got to be honest with you, I've kind of been avoiding those kind of people for about the last 5 years or so, because I found that whole environment to be extremely limiting with respect to divine inspiration. Let's put it that way. And so, yeah, it's time to rub noses with the lions. So this will be fascinating. The other thing that's really interesting too is this woman has been running these seminars pretty much exclusively for women up to this point. So it's very interesting to me that understanding my predominance of feminine energetics in my blueprint, that I would be a man that's invited into this into this honeypot, so to speak. So it's kind of like, it's kind of fascinating too.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it could be a sabotaging pattern of our life.
Well, yeah. Well, I identifying energetically, like exclusively energetically as a male, for me was really out of whack. And it seems to me I heard you say something similar earlier today. Yeah. Because I've always had difficulty, even just identifying with today's definition of what a man is like, how they act, all that kind of stuff. I've never been able to conform to that. Even just that whole thing about being forceful is abhorrent to me, to my being. At this time in my soul's history, because I know I've had past experiences where I was the aggressor and actually killed many people. I was a warrior, and I killed many people, but I was also on the receiving end of that kind of stuff too. So, so my soul knows all those experiences. So my soul also understands the futility of that kind of extremism. And there's a difference between intensity and extremism. Because feminine energy can be extremely intense too. Those kind of things are never really considered.
Well, I think I'm gonna go join the family this morning.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good. Thank you for going here with me today.
Yeah. Thanks for
man.
taking it.
Covered a lot of ground. Oh my goodness.
We did.
Yeah.
Good ground. You bet.
Yeah. It's very interesting stuff.
All right. Well, enjoy your Sunday.
Will do. Hey, what time is it?
Okay. 7:30. 7:30.
Oh, it's 7:30 already. Okay. Great. Yeah, thank you so much, Jesse. Big love.
Yeah, big love, man. Thanks, Craig. Have a great day.
Okay, blessings. Bye.